Hello and welcome to the podcast Love Yourself and Live Your Life, your podcast for personal development, a positive mindset and more consciousness in your life. My name is Jolanthe colleague and I'm so happy and so grateful you're here today again. In today's podcast, I'd like to speak about a feeling that I'm sure all of us we experience on a regular basis. And that's the feeling of guilt. You may experience the feeling now, or you may have experienced it in the past, and it may come back again. So if you're interested and you want to overcome that emotion of guilt, that emotion of shame, that emotion of helplessness, then stay on and listen to this podcast. I will be sharing 5 really easy steps with you that can help you to overcome this emotion. All of us, we experience from time to time the feeling of guilt. Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, it does arise from time to time. It may be triggered through a situation, it may be triggered through a thought, and then we think, what I did was wrong, I shouldn't have done it, and we condemn ourselves. It may have been a mistake we did, or maybe we disappointed someone, or we destroyed something. Maybe it was a behavior towards someone, or maybe something we did or something we said. Maybe we have been unfair with our child, or maybe it was during an argument with our partner, or it may even have been a mistake at work. There are so many reasons why we may feel guilty, and we wish we would have behaved differently. We wish we wouldn't have done it, or we wouldn't have said it, or we wish we would have reacted differently, and we think I should have known this better. We're still angry at ourselves and we blame ourselves. We might even think, I don't deserve to be happy. I need to suffer forever. I've been such a bad person. I don't deserve to be happy. The other person may have already forgotten it ages ago, whatever has happened. But we just can't let go. We keep on holding on to that guilt, onto that blame, onto that shame. And it's absolutely normal that we do mistakes sometimes. It's absolutely normal that we do or we say things because we might be unhappy with ourselves. And sometimes we are expecting us to do everything perfect and not to do any mistakes. And if we do, we then blame ourselves for something that we did, but we couldn't do it in any other way. We couldn't have changed it. The feeling of guilt is a type of self-prosecution. So we prosecute ourselves for something that we feel that we are guilty about. And I think here we need to realize that guilt is a feeling. It is not a fact. It's not the truth. It's simply in our heads. You're not guilty, even if you feel that you are guilty. Guilt makes us feel weak. Guilt makes us feel powerless, and it creates a feeling that I have done something really, really bad and I will be punished for it. It creates a fear that we will be rejected by someone or we might lose someone we love. I think guilt doesn't want to harm us. I think it wants to remind us that we can be someone better next time. I think it wants us to learn and it wants us to grow and it wants us to look a little bit closer where we can improve. And it also wants to remind us that we can heal and where we can heal. I think when the feeling of guilt arises, it's important to understand that this is caused by our thoughts. And our thoughts, they are constantly in the past situation. And we then judge ourselves for something that we did in a previous time. We judge our behavior from the past. And I think we need to realize it's your thoughts that cause the emotion of guilt. So we need to realize that at that previous timing of your behavior, the knowledge you had at that time is not the same as you have today. Today, you have more knowledge than you had at that time. You learned since then and you realized what the consequences are. Your previous you didn't have the knowledge and it didn't have the experience you have today. And your previous you did the best it could at that moment. You may say now, that was not the best you could have done in that moment. That's what you are saying now. That's what you're saying today, because you have the info now. You have the knowledge now, because you had the experience. You didn't have the knowledge at that previous moment. You didn't have this experience. And to be honest, it doesn't even make sense to judge yourself, because you can't even change the past and you can't change the situation. Many people hold on to the guilt because they think they need to suffer now. They think through the suffering, they will make it better next time. But this is not true. What can you do to do better? You can grow. You can learn from it. And then you can do it better. So recognize it wasn't good. No. Recognize you didn't know any better in that moment. And then decide to learn from it and to grow from it. So I'd like to share with you 5 really easy steps how to overcome guilt and how to let go of the guilt. So the first step is be honest with yourself and get this out, get this emotion out, get that guilt out, get that shame out, and speak to someone you trust about what you're ashamed of. Speak about your negative rating and your judgment. Because as soon as you let it out of you, you let this out of your mind, you let this out of your heart, you give it a chance to solve it. You give it a chance to deal with it. And then you give it a chance to disappear. If you share it with someone, it's like letting go of the big, heavy bag that you carry on your shoulders. And once you let go of it, you let it out, you feel much lighter. You start feeling automatically much better. And if it's something you feel really very ashamed about, you feel that it was something so terribly wrong what you did, and there is no one you want to share that with, you don't want to speak to anyone, then write it down. Really write down what does make you feel guilty. What does make you feel ashamed? And you'll see that's the first step that will help you by being honest, by facing it, by getting it out. And then we get to the second step, which is accept it. Accept that this has happened and stop saying things, I should have known it any better. I shouldn't have done this. No. Today you know better, and today you know because you did this experience. We need to make certain experiences in order to learn from them. Only then we can learn. Only then we can grow. And it's okay to do mistakes because we are all human. We all do mistakes. Say to yourself, I can make mistakes. It's okay to do mistakes as long as I learn from them. So instead of holding on to them, accept them and learn from them. Because once you accept, the moment will arise where you can view the situation from outside. You can see it from a different view, and the whole picture becomes clearer. You start understanding more. Rather than blaming yourself, you don't open yourself for learning. You don't open yourself for growth. But once you accept, in that moment, that situation becomes clearer. In the third step, be compassionate with yourself and think, why did I behave this way? What triggered it? What caused my behavior? And find real explanation to your behavior. No excuses, just real, honest explanations. Maybe because I have been angry myself, or I was hurt and I thought I needed to fight and protect myself, or I wanted to be right. Maybe it was because I felt frightened of something. Maybe I was tired, or whatever the reason is. Think of the reasons and write them down. And then look at them. Look at the reasons. Look at the shadows and heal them. Because only when you heal them, then they will leave. Otherwise, they will always return. All these feelings will come back again. And in that moment, when you are loving and kind with yourself, when you are compassionate with yourself, you just need to say, I allow myself to be a human. And I allow myself to make mistakes. But I also learn from them. And then the magic happens. Then you transform the guilt into responsibility. And that gives you power to make a new choice for the next time. And in the fourth step, look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. Because the feeling of guilt and blame has a lot to do of not forgiving yourself for whatever it was. Forgiveness helps you to let go of the blame, and it helps you to let go of the guilt. So forgive yourself. It may take some time. It may even take a long time. But don't give up. Carry on. Repeat regularly these 3 sentences. I forgive myself. And you will see it will help you. And in the 5th step, think of ways for your future to avoid this happening again. Because if you focus on ways and you try to find solutions how to avoid this mistake again, that will help you to learn from this mistake. Learn to see the experience as something positive, where you learn from it and where you grow, and that makes you stronger, and not that weakens you and makes you feel ashamed. Don't punish yourself for something you couldn't change in that moment. And if you feel that emotion of guilt arises, I'd like to share with you a mantra that I use that does help me. The mantra is, this is a difficult moment for me, and it's okay, I accept it. I will be kind and loving to myself. This is a difficult moment for me. It's okay and I accept it. I will be kind and loving to myself. So if you want, you can also use this mantra. It does help me hugely when I am in difficult moments. I really hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I really hope some of my tips are of any use to you. And if you would like to share your experiences with me, if you would like to share your thoughts with me, please connect with me on Facebook or on Instagram, Jolanthe Kolleg. You can leave me a comment about this podcast on there. Otherwise, send me a direct message. I'm always happy to hear from you. I'm always happy to speak about things. And if there is any questions you may have and you would like a little advice, I'm very happy to share my support with you as well. Or maybe you have got some suggestions you would like me to speak about in one of the next podcast episodes. Then again, just send me a message and I will do my best. So thank you so much again for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Take care of yourself. Loads of love. Your Jolanthe.